Dirtle Magic. Thank you for tuning in to Dirtle Magic. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell if you like the content you see here today, and leave a like and share the video with someone you might think is interested. Leaving those likes really helps us out, but another way to help us out is by using our TCG Player affiliate link below. If you're looking for singles, sealed product, or gaming accessories, please consider using our link to support the channel. We also have some playmats at inkgaming.com. Go ahead and hit the link in the description to check those out. Alright, let's grab some spells and dirtle with some magic. Hello and welcome back to Dirtle Magic. Exciting day today. We had the Strixhaven stream on Twitch to look at some cards and some mechanics from the set, but in this video, specifically in this episode of the Dice Bag, I want to go over the spoiled commanders, the face commanders for the Commander product coming out with the set. First up, we have the Boros Commander Ozger, the Reconstructor. 2 red-white for a legendary 4/4 Giant Artificer with Vigilance. You can pay 1 and sacrifice an artifact. Target creature you control gets 2/0 until end of turn. Otherwise, you can pay X, tap, exile an artifact card with converted mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 token copies of the exiled card. Activate this only as a sorcery. So here we have a Boros Commander that can get artifacts into the graveyard off the battlefield that we control, and potentially make duplicates of them, but only once they're dead and in the graveyard. What really sticks out to me about this commander is you can almost immediately start, once he's down anyway, a really potentially aggressive ramping strategy with a bunch of mana rocks. You slap down an Arcane Signet, you slap down a Soul Ring, a Mana Crypt if you have it, although, you know, be nice to your friends about speed. You sacrifice that stuff once you're done with it, or you need even more mana. And those things are super cheap. You just pay X and tap, and you get, what, 2 Soul Rings back for the 1? And you get 4 mana out of it? That could be insane value, especially in Boros, which has trouble ramping anyway. On the flip side, if we look at his first ability, which doesn't seem that impressive at first, then we can sacrifice all those artifacts for a blowout play if we're just going to attack stuff anyway. While this commander doesn't say, attack with me because, you know, Boros does that. Sorry, this is Lorehold. You know, it could possibly pump a creature well into lethal range, especially if you're going to be throwing something at somebody with some kind of fling effect. In short, I really like the flexibility of this commander because it can go both ways. Both abilities are super relevant to any kind of playstyle you really want to do with it at this point. And red and white do have things that manipulate artifacts, especially in red, but then we also have, what, Treasure, Ancestor's Apostle? So white's no slouch in this either. Next up, we have Savai, Thunder Conductor. 2 blue-red for legendary 1/4 human shaman, but it has Magecraft, which is a new mechanic in this set. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery or you copy one of those things, you get a trigger from Magecraft. So this one says, in particular, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, scry 1, if its converted mana cost or now mana value is 5 or greater, you get a 4/4 blue-red and elemental creature token. Then if the converted mana cost or mana value is greater than 10, it does 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random. Now this one definitely screams, you know, something like Storm to me, but just the fact that you can just keep scrying to get like the best cards to the top of your deck technically and getting rid of all the chaff you don't want right now seems like a really good strategy. The converted mana cost or the mana values that keep going up, 5 to get some tokens to help defend yourself seems really good, and there are a lot of good 5 mana spells and up in Commander. This could also be a good kind of like X-Spell Tribal kind of deck, especially if you want to hit that 10 a number of times, because it does deal 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random. It also kind of lets you off the hook for dealing 10 damage to somebody because it is random. I think the sweet spot for this one is probably going to be more scrying to get what you want, maybe some tokens on defense. There could be that 10 damage aspect coming into play for this commander. I don't know how often I'm going to see it necessarily. I do like the design of this card, and I do like the designs of the card so far in a departure from the guilds of Ravnica. Next up, we have, of course, the dreaded Simic combination, Adrix and Nev Twincaster. 2 green-blue for legendary 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. Ward 2. Ward is a new ability in this set, and basically what it means is they have hexproof unless you pay a certain amount of mana, in this case 2. And I kind of like that. There's more interaction between opponents that way. If you really, really want to kill it, then you can pay some mana. If not, you don't, and that's that. However, the ability on this card is, if one or more tokens would be created under your control, you get twice that many created under your control instead. So this is a parallel lives in the command zone. You get double tokens, it kind of protects itself, and being a creature, it kind of evens out the power level because you can break through the protection, your opponents can anyway, and it's a creature, so it is a little bit more fragile to board wipes. On the bright side, this doesn't strike me as like a super powerful commander. It doesn't strike me as something insanely broken. It doesn't strike me as something I need to fear at a table necessarily on its own. Now, with the caveat of on its own, putting this in any Simic deck that creates tokens like Coma, putting it in, I don't know, Omnath with all the landfall abilities, 4-color, 3-color, could be really bad, so it could be very good in the 99. Then, of course, you do have the cloning effects that make tokens like Cackling Counterpart or Quasi-Duplicate. That could get really out of hand with this, especially if you slap down a Doubling Season or another Parallel Live. So, in a vacuum, this commander doesn't very scare me much. But Simic, of course, always does what it does, and Simic always scares me. Next up, we have the Orizov Commander, or I guess in this case, Silver Quill, Brina the Demagogue. 1 white black for legendary 1/3 bird Warlock. Flying, whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than another of your opponents, that attacking player draws a card and you put 2/1 counters on a creature you control. Yeah, I had to read that real carefully and go over it a few times. So it's kind of like a political card. If somebody wants card draw, they can attack one of your opponents, and as long as somebody has more life, it also has kind of like a dethrone effect almost. They get to draw a card and you get counters on your guys, dissuading people from attacking you. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm thrilled with this. I'm so sick of white-black being like, I bleed you, bro. So, yeah, this is fantastic. The Spoiled Elder Dragon, which I'm not getting to in this video, but the art's in the background, is also fantastic. I really like the direction of this card right here. For this deck in particular, I'm seeing things like Scheming Symmetry if you want to be extra political about it. I'm seeing other things like Rattlesnake effects, Michiko, Seeker of Truth. If you can find one, was it Opheliomancer, the one that makes the snakes with Death Touch every turn? Marchesa's Decree, No Mercy, Dread, you could even go the Ghostly Prison route. So I think this one's a little bit more proactive on the politics. I'm really enjoying, again, where Silver Quill is taking the white-black color pairing in this set so far. Last but not least, we have Willow, Dusk, Essence Seer, 1 black-green for a legendary 3/3 Dryad Druid, bit of a mouthful there. 1 tap, choose another target creature, put a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of life you gained this turn or the amount of life you lost this turn, whichever is greater. Activate this only as a sorcery. Okay, so let's go over this a little bit. Green used to have a lot more life gain effects than it currently does. I mean, yeah, it has some creatures that do it, but it doesn't have any like lifelink or anything, but it did have some passive effects, especially if you go back further to like Meriden or something. They're toying around with it a bit. So this calls back to me. It has a little bit of nostalgia that way. Otherwise, I think this ability as kind of like, if you've ever played a Selenia deck where you drain your own life total to get some benefit and threaten your opponents with something like Repay in Kind, this is the kind of deck I could see this being, where you just drain your life total yourself. I mean, Brokerville's a Blood would fit in here for sure, and you just make something huge and have some other effect. I mean, Gerard Golgly Lich Lord could be in this deck. Pay a bunch of life, make something huge, sack it, and then maybe trade life totals afterward if you're not quite there yet. I do like, again, the design of this commander. I'm so glad it's not necessarily a graveyard commander. I feel like the Guilds of Ravnica guilds have really stagnated the design of 2-color pairings as far as the creators of Magic are concerned. I'm so happy to see some more flexibility in these color pairings because, frankly, I was getting a little bored with it. And so far, none of these have disappointed me at all. Izette's kind of still Izette, but I mean, you could still build it a number of different ways. All these commanders seem really flexible. I'm really enjoying this set spoiler so far. With that in mind, let me know what you think about these commanders in the comments. These are the commander deck pre-constructed ones. These are not in the main set. So if you want to pick these up, you either have to pick up that commander deck or wait for the singles to go on sale or maybe trade with your friends. Just wanted to point that out. So these are not set spoilers per se. They are the commander Precon product. In summary, everything seems very new, very different than the guild color pairings. Much looking forward to the rest of the set. The spoilers so far, if you've checked those out yet, have been fairly entertaining. Like, just because the stuff is doing, it's still within the color mechanics, it's still within the pie mechanics, but it's kind of like covering new ground or combining it in different ways, and I can really appreciate that overall. Oh, that's it for this video. Again, let me know in the comments what you might think about these commanders, maybe how you build them. I was just brainstorming a little bit, just throwing stuff out there. Didn't really go and like do a deep dive on these things, you know, but I'm looking forward to maybe picking some of these up and playing them on the channel. If not these, we still have Elder Dragons in the main set. Some of the dual-face commanders have already been spoiled for the enemy color pairings. Go and check those out. Get those spoilers from all the people who spoiled them. There's a link on my Twitter to a spoiler I like to use from a website, so if you want to check that out. However you do it, I'm looking at this stuff looks fantastic. I'm so stoked for this set. I can't say that enough. Anyway, before I ramble on too much, stay safe out there. I'll see you for the next episode of the Dice Bag or the next gameplay video. And Strixhaven! Let's go.